Back to your experience in San Francisco, there's actually a chapter in your book called Hitchhiking to San Francisco, and I understand that literally on July 4th, 1967, you left Newport Beach, California, and just hitchhiked your way to San Francisco. What was the pull? Why did you just wake up that morning and say, okay, I got to get to San Francisco, and what made you just kind of, hit the road?
Well, to set the stage a little bit, on June 23rd of 67, there was a big demonstration in Los Angeles for people who were against the war in Vietnam. And President Johnson was appearing at the Century Plaza Hotel in Los Angeles. And so about 20,000 of us showed up at the Century Plaza Hotel for a demonstration. And there was what most people that were there considered a heavy police overreaction. And it got really violent. And I became traumatized by what I saw on June 23rd, 1967 at the demonstration. I saw peaceful demonstrators, being beaten to the ground, and up until that time, I thought, it was during the Civil Rights Movement, the Civil Rights era, the anti-war era, and I watched the news like everybody, and I saw people being carried away, passive resistance, and I thought they were pretty much performing for the cameras.
Really? It didn't seem authentic to you?
It didn't seem authentic to me. But when I got there to Century Plaza and I saw the the clubbings, the baton wielding that didn't seem to be all that necessary, I was shocked. The thing I didn't know was I didn't know what was going on at the front of the march. So I don't know what caused the big police reaction. Were they just coming in because they had orders to just wade in and wail on us, or were something going on that caused the reaction? So to this day I don't know what happened. All I know is what I experienced. So I was so traumatized by this that I went back to Orange County and I quit my job in the factory where I was working making war parts for military aircraft and helicopters. And I just refused to work on the war anymore. So I quit my job in aerospace, and I'd heard about San Francisco. I heard people were going up there, and I just went out on the road and started hitchhiking. And I thought, well, San Francisco's about 400 miles. Let's see, I can probably get there in about 10 hours.
Now, let me ask you, how were you dressed on the side of the road hitchhiking?
Oh, yeah, well, I was wearing boots and jeans, and I had a little Hindu bell around my neck, and an ankle bracelet with a bell on it, and I was carrying my old Army AWOL bag, and I was carrying a book on Hinduism, so I thought that people would think I was heavy and a deep thinker if I had this book on Hinduism that I hadn't even read, but I just flashed it so people would think I was heavy.
So Mark, you explain how you're dressed on the side of the road hitchhiking to San Francisco, and you're figuring this is July 4th, it'll take you 10 hours max to get there.
I thought so, yes.
And how long did it take you?
It took me 2 days.
You think your outfit had anything to do with it?
Well, hitchhiking was pretty common in those days, so my expectations weren't all that unrealistic. I thought 400 miles at 50 miles an hour. I'd catch maybe 3 rides, and I'd be up there with the hippies on Haight Street, that night. But I remember being stranded out around Lompoc, California, at night, and it was by Vandenberg Air Force Base, and the cars and trucks would go by from the Air Force Base, and they'd yell at me and give me the finger and yelled dirty hippie and draft dodger. And I had my Army discharge, my honorable discharge in my pocket, so I took a great offense at being called a draft dodger. Dirty hippie I could live with, but draft dodger really got me upset. But yeah, it took 2 days to get up there, and I remember the first thing I did when I got to Haight Street was going to a bar and have a beer, and I kind of listened to the conversations of the patrons in the bar, and they didn't like the hippies.
Really?
Yeah, what we called the straight people. They didn't like the hippies. They thought it was going to ruin the city. And so I got out of there pretty fast. Out of the bar. I stayed in San Francisco for a while.